Listen, the first recommendation about the young man sitting to your right is the fact that he's sitting here quietly listening to everything you say. A lot of times they lose interest. James, nice to have you with us. You know, we talked about it before the show, and I would like to just be real. Let's rewind the clock. Before you were wearing nice clothes, before you were dressed nice. Talk to me about who you were when you were a younger person growing up in the Bronx.
Well, I grew up in foster care. I was about in 15 foster homes, and
15?
Yes, about
Over
15.
what period of time?
Well,
5 years, 10 years?
I got adopted at 5. I mean, I got adopted at around 14, 15 years old. So from birth, wow, until like 10, 12 years.
15 different homes?
Yes.
Why was that? There was just no place to keep you?
It was no place to keep me, but like the parents were very abusive. They really mistreated me.
Physically abusive?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I'd be sorry for any kind of abuse, of course. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I just thank God that even though I went through all that pain and sorrow and trials and tribulations, that I'm able just to be alive and just to have a successful...
And so was there a home eventually that you settled into?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, the house that I live in right now is in the Bronx on 167th Street. I live with a single mom. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters. One is in college, my brother's about to graduate high school, and my little sister's about to become a senior in high school.
And they are responsible initially for giving you a roof over your head and helping to turn your life around?
The mother that adopted me, she's responsible for that.
Okay. And then where were you at before you met Sherman Browne and the AIMHigh Empowerment Institute? Like what kind of person? Were you just kind of an unfortunate person in those circumstances, or did you contribute to some of the things because you weren't that nice a person?
Unfortunate. I was living with my friend's grandmother, and before that, I was living with my mom, but me and her had some problems. So I didn't really like it there because there was a lot of verbal abuse, and knowing myself, I don't really like that. I like to surround myself with positive people. You know, she was always putting me down, so I had to find some way of escaping. So I decided to spend my time at my friend's house, and from there on, I started living with his grandma. How
did you come across Mr. Browne?
I actually got referred here by a former student named Anthony Singh.
Mm-hmm.
He referred me to Monroe College, and that's how I met Mr. Browne.
Why did he? Because you were looking for something in your mind. You wanted to be a positive person, but never had the opportunity to be one.
Yes.
What's it like? What have you done with the AIMHigh Empowerment Institute? Like, what's what you've done?
Wow.
First of all, you dress nice and you speak nicely.
Thank you. So far we have done like a lot of projects in the beginning. I was kind of nervous because I didn't know what I was experiencing, but since it was positive, I decided to go with the flow. You know. At first, we were sitting in the classroom. I believe it was like 12, 13 students came in, and Sherman Browne, I seen him like, oh, this Sherman Browne. So, okay, I knew something good was going to happen. And
did you hear him rap, by the way? He was talking about rap music. I happen to know he's a really good rapper, but that's another story.
He actually is, though.
I know he is. We don't lie on this show. But go ahead.
And he just put on a motivational video, and he was talking to us about the Empowerment Institute, like what it's going to become. And when I was watching the video, something just changed in my mind. It was really motivational. Like the situations I was at before, like I noticed that it was horrible, and I felt like there was no way out. But by getting connected with positive people and mentors, that I'm able to find a way to achieve my goals.
So I was right, and I'm going to let Sherman use it when I said first it was no, I can't. Now it was yes, I can. And basically, that is where you can.
I might have to steal that one, you know.
now it's out there for good. And so, what kinds of things do you do? And what specifically have you done that's turned you into somebody? And I'm just going to list. He's now on the Monroe College track team. He sings. And what is it that you want to do in your life? You were telling me beforehand.
I want to become an entrepreneur, but not only an entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur who basically helps the youth and developing their own skills and realizing their own true potential.
Mm-hmm. And so what was it that really got you going, and what kinds of things do you do that makes you say, wow, you know, this is a physical thing that I've done that shows me that I can be somebody and I can help other people?
Well, what made me the person that I am right now was my struggles, because my struggles became my strengths. I dwelled on that in order to push me forward. So I didn't let my geography determine my biography, but I let that fuel me to become who I am. And I didn't let nobody or no negativity come in my way. I just decided just to take a different route.
All those kids, all those guys, and I talk about them as my brothers because I grew up in the Bronx as well, and I know what's out there. And so they'll see you and they'll say, yeah, I get that. I'm not going there. I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to wear a tie, or I'm not going to do all the things you do. And we are, by the way, going to break down some of the, Sherman does some amazing things. But how do you reach those guys? How do you turn them around when they are living proof that systems, frankly, have failed them?
Well, to me, the way to relate to them is not BSing. You know, is not being dishonest.
Boy, is that Bronx talk right there? I like it.
It's not being dishonest. You got to relate to them on a level that they can understand. Like, say for example, I'm roaming around the street and I try to talk to somebody who doesn't have no formal education. I relate to them on a level that they can understand that, okay, I am in the wrong position that I am in right now. I am doing the wrong thing, but by me being the prime example, I can be hope for them. So
have you seen that play out? Like,
yes.
You've seen people that you've talked to and you've seen them engage in this
yes.
process? Wow.
Yes.
That gives me hope. You know,
a big part of that, Gary, is just the fact that what happens is we have this model that we say, hey, look, we're working with these young men, and these young men have seen the light. And we could go out there and try to speak to these other young men, but the best examples and the best people to send are the young men themselves. So they start connecting with folks, start introducing some of their friends to what they're doing, and these young men come and be a part of these activities as well.
You know, I just want to mention to Dahlia and the other folks in the booth, we have some pictures, and I'm going to ask Sherman some questions. This would be a nice time to roll some of those photographs. You talked about in some of your materials that you go into people's homes?
Absolutely. So,
wow.
Yeah, so we have a special part of this called the Home Empowerment Program. And how this works is that, look, if you call a contractor, right, they go for home improvement. We go for home empowerment, right? And the difference with that is because we recognize when these young men come to school, they go back to their same neighborhoods. They go back to the same struggles that they're facing. So I personally go to every one of those neighborhoods with these young men. I go and I meet their families because we say parental engagement is important as well. And what we do is we provide them with resources. So for example, we give them a community resource packet. Let them know all of the resources that's available to them.
Like what?
A lot of times, so we'll give them information about scholarship opportunities for their kids if their kids are in school, if their young men are in school. For example, like he's in college now, there's opportunities out there for him as well. We provide them with community resources. Let them know about where the community board is. A lot of these things that they just seem to ignore. And a lot of times those communities that are really disenfranchised just aren't aware of the places they could go to get resources.
Boy, we have had these discussions on this show for years and years and years, and I frankly, it may not be that they ignore it, they don't have credibility for some of those things, that they say, well, that stuff is not going to get me anywhere. But maybe with you and James and some of the other people that we're seeing in some of these things, maybe they will understand, wow, those things really are accessible and really can be helpful.
Yeah, and I mean, and Gary, what we really do is we just create stories. You know, so when we take someone like James and we bring him out there and we show these families in the community, look at where James came from to where he is today, right? What happens is they see the reality. So as you talk about credibility, they may not believe in those resources and that it could work for them, but when they see common stories of common people who look just like them, it becomes easier for them to buy into it.
Do families buy